Videos, theories, knowledge from all over the world that's going to make you rethink everything. I mean, we have to learn without stopping, right? So we can learn from everywhere. So these videos are, knowledge, wisdom, theories, facts, and also spooky videos. Like, it's a mixture of everything, right? I am aiming, or this video is aiming to give you an emotional roller coaster. We are going to go on a wave with this. So let's just start.
If we had to go to war with China right now, I think that they would absolutely fucking destroy us.
Really?
I really do.
They're military.
I think so, yeah. If you look at the kind of the overall average of what an American soldier is versus a Chinese soldier at this point, I think in many ways the Chinese soldier is going to be in better shape, probably better funded. That's debatable by anybody. But the biggest thing is that their government is going to let them do whatever the fuck they need to do to win, and ours won't.
How big is China's military?
I mean, their budget still is not what ours is, but at this point, it's not even about money. Again, all the money in the world, if you have feckless leaders who are spineless and don't let you go be a fucking badass, doesn't matter how much money you have.
They don't have a lot of military bases. They've bought a lot of ports and stuff like that for trade with all the shit they're doing, basically putting countries in debt to them. But we do have, our military bases are literally, you pull it up on a map, boom, 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 everywhere.
Well, I would say search submarines, ships, and fighter jets for the China-American comparison, because to me, at this point, that's really what matters more.
Did you know Genesis predicts
That was
Jesus?
creepy. I wasn't
There's a
expecting
hidden
it.
message in Genesis 5 that will blow your mind. The genealogy listed in this chapter isn't just a list of names. It's a prophecy written over 1,000 years before Jesus. Here's what it reveals. Adam means man. Seth means appointed. Enosh means mortal, frail, or miserable. Kenan means sorrow. Mahalalel means blessed God. Jared means shall come down. Enoch means teaching. Methuselah means his death shall bring. Lamech means despairing. Noah means rest or comfort. When you put it together, it says, man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down teaching that his death shall bring the despairing rest and comfort. From the very first book, God foreshadowed the greatest event in history, the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. This isn't coincidence, it's divine design. Share this with others so they can see how God's plan for salvation
Share this
was written
video
from the very beginning.
and subscribe.
The ulcers on King Henry VIII's legs could be smelled from 65 feet away. King Henry VIII had a long history of recurring varicose veins in his legs, with the first ones appearing at the age of 36. He was a strong, pleasant, and handsome man in his youth. He loved horseback riding, but the pain from the ulcers led him to obesity and a sedentary lifestyle. Henry had terrible wounds on his veins, a condition he shared with his mother, indicating it was hereditary. Henry was an active man. He had many lovers and wives. It was said that he had syphilis. Catherine Howard, one of his wives, said that when Henry visited her in her chambers, she could smell his wounds. It was an odor of decomposed flesh. The royal physician even removed several worms from his leg. There were open holes in the leg where the worms were eating his flesh, and he oozed pus and blood. Henry suffered from a severe infection that was slowly killing him. At that time, there were no barriers or advanced treatments. He was treated with plants and homemade remedies. His wives and lovers were repulsed when Henry sought them intimately. The wounds would release a liquid that dripped onto them. On January 28, 1547, Henry died at the age of 55 in the Palace of Whitehall in London. The infected ulcers on his leg directly led to his death. Follow this profile for more videos.
Things that were considered completely normal in the past. Boys wearing dresses. Until the early 20th century, it was normal for young boys around age 6 or 7 to wear dresses or gowns. This practice, called breeching, was common because dresses were easier for potty training and practical for children. Coal as a cleaning agent. Coal was not only used for heating, but also as a cleaning agent. People used coal dust to scrub floors and remove stains from various surfaces. Fainting rooms for women. During the Victorian era, homes were often built with fainting rooms for women. This was because women commonly wore tight corsets that restricted their breathing, causing them to faint frequently. Separate entrances for men and women. Many public buildings, including schools and churches, had separate entrances for men and women. This practice was based on strict social norms regarding gender segregation. Showering once a month. In the 18th and 19th centuries, it was common for people to bathe or shower only once a month. Frequent bathing was thought to be unhealthy and could even lead to illness.
Big news from the FBI. They're warning all of us smartphone users about receiving text messages from different devices.
And by different, we mean from iPhone to Android.
To Android, yeah. They say text messages between Android and iPhone users are unencrypted and could be seen by Chinese hackers. So iMessages, Google Messages, WhatsApp messaging supposedly is still safe because they're fully encrypted.
So finally, people can stop
It's just pretty.
making fun of folks who are like, oh, you have an Android, or if you have an Android, oh, you have an iPhone. There is a reason why we don't like texting people with a different type of phone. Now there's science to back it up.
If I want to text somebody, but I don't know if they have an Android, is there any way to tell?
I think when you first put the number in, it'll be like turn blue or green at the top.
Green at the top, so then don't text them.
But people will judge. When
I
people
know,
say,
I know.
like, I don't want to text someone who has an Android or something.
Well, now you have
People
a
are like,
great-
oh, that's horrible.
You know, you said the Chinese are listening.
I don't want to be hacked. That's
Right.
all. We're just trying to worry about the safety of our
How
information.
important are you? Maybe they are, but then how important are you for the Chinese
And my
government to
parents have Androids, and I
watch
can't text
your
my
or
parents.
listen to
They
your
have Androids,
conversations?
And it's not safe.
I was going to text you.
Unless
back,
maybe you are doing
but
something
also-
illegal,
Nope.
right?
Well, as long as you text my dad and not my mama, then I'm fine.
I know. I'm afraid of her.
I want y'all to listen to these Egyptian proverbs not with your ears, but with your heart. And tell me how they make you feel as opposed to how you felt going to church. Kingdom of heaven is within you, and whosoever shall know himself shall find it. The first reminder that spiritual enlightenment begins within. Know the world in yourself. Never look for yourself in the world. This will be to project your illusion. This encourages self-reflection. Look at yourself first. Stop talking about everybody else. I all know this one. As above, so below. As within, so without. A lot of people say it, but probably don't know what it means. This is highlighting the interconnectedness of the universe as well as ourselves. World Wide Web has a deeper meaning. Her body is the temple of knowledge. Teaching that wisdom resides in the spiritual and physical harmony of the body. Remember that.
Did you hear that? I paused it for a while, but your body is a temple for knowledge. So all these videos that we are creating, we are trying to make our body the temple of knowledge, right? Trying to, put in as much as knowledge as we can so that we can also be useful with the knowledge that we have. So yeah, I feel very good with this proverb and I love it. So we just get back to the video, and because of this we are not even stopping, so let's just continue.
Remember that knowledge was forbidden in the Bible. They don't want us to know thyself. To speak divine truth, one must first walk it. Walk it like you talk it. This is saying live authentically before you start trying to preach to somebody. You not doing it, how you gonna tell somebody else to do it? Listen to your conviction, even if the whole world opposes it. This one is deep. You gotta trust that inner voice versus the external noises, because it's a lot of those. You know how to listen to yourself? And know thyself, and you shall know the gods. That is so self-explanatory. Energy that flows through you. This God that everybody loves to speak of and give credit to is nothing more than an energy that flows through you. The mouth of a perfectly contented man is full of praise. This is talking about what happens when you live in a space of gratitude and joy. A cup will always be full, your spirit fulfilled. Silence is more profitable than an abundance of speech. Quiet contemplation over empty words. Stop talking so much. Stop telling everybody every move you gonna make. Sometimes our mouth get us in too much trouble. Do a good deed and throw it into the water. When it dries, you shall find it. This is talking about the ripple effect of kindness and goodness. God, let me know how those make you feel. We was taught this from the beginning. Imagine where we would be right now as a society. I keep telling y'all, knowledge is not power unless you apply it. Now that we know better, we can do better. Make sure y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
Now, the first way to beat women at their own game on my list today is to desexualize your mind. Yes, my kings.
This
Now, it is a
sounds
known
nice for me.
fact that sex is one of the major tools women use to manipulate, control, and use men. So if as a king, you are able to control yourself sexually, you are that king who is able to look at a woman without thinking about her in a sexual way. You're able to desexualize your mind, that you can just see women for who they are, for their personality. You can deal with women without thinking about them sexually. You are not that king who is controlled by your sexual urge, by your desire, that all the time you just want to follow through with whatever it is that you need to do to get that desire and that urge satisfied. Then, my kings, you would have been able to beat 80 to 90% of women at their own game, because you would have taken out one of the most powerful tools of manipulation that women have. So if you are able as a king to control your mind, desexualize your mind, make sure you can see women for who they are, see them as normal human beings without thinking too highly of them sexually, then you would have beat women at their own game. So yes, my kings, that is the very first thing you need to do to beat women at their games. Another way to beat women at their own game is to be able to handle chores. Yes, my kings, as much as this is no more a thing in our modern times, as kings can just simply employ someone to do chores for them or employ people to do chores for them, but still it is important that you realize and recognize that doing chores is one of the major tools women use to manipulate, use, and control men. Yes, it is real, even in our recent times, and even as easy as it is to get helps to do those things for you, women still use it as manipulation tactics, as a way to play mind games with you. Now, here's the thing. If you're a king who can handle your own chores yourself, you can cook, you can clean, you can take care of your own things yourself.
Self-reliant
now, a woman
kings.
knows you don't really need her that much, so she wouldn't use all those things as a tool to manipulate you. Now, you see, when usually women will have issue with their men, you notice, okay, the next thing, the woman is starving the man. She's either deciding, oh, I won't cook for you, I won't do this, I won't do that. But if you're a king who can handle those things yourself, even when she does that, she knows it wouldn't have any impact on you, because you will be able to cook your own meal and eat your own food without having to beg her for her cooking or having to beg her for her to do anything for you. So yes, that is why it is very important that as a king, you will be able to handle your own chores. When you do that, you will take away the power of manipulation a lot of women have. Take, for example, like I mentioned, starving your food because she knows, oh, maybe you can't cook, or maybe you can't handle all these little chores yourself. But if you're able to handle it, even if she wants to try, she would have it at the back of her mind that she cannot manipulate you with things like that. So yes, my kings, being able to handle chores is one of the major ways that you can beat women at their own games. Now, another way to beat women in their own games is to be interesting and know it. Now, my kings, a lot of women use this
interesting
excuse that,
and know
oh,
it.
you're not an interesting king,
Wow.
to manipulate a lot of kings. Yes, you might know that you are interesting, but there's a way a woman would do it. There's a way she will say it to you, and you begin to think truly you are not as interesting as you should be. That is why you should know that you have an interesting life. Make sure you have an interesting personality. Build yourself as an interesting king, so that when women come along and they try to make you feel like you're not interesting enough, there are instances where women are caught cheating and they will make excuses like, oh, the other guy was quite interesting, he was fun, so I didn't mean to do it, I love you, it was a mistake, please pardon me. And some kings will actually begin to believe and thinking it is because they were not interesting enough that gave her the right to cheat. So please, my kings, make sure you are interesting and also know it, so that no woman can make you feel like you are not interested. Now, you would have beat her at that game because that is her tool. She's bringing that tool to make you feel like you are not interested, and thereby beating you at your own game. But when you go ahead of her, knowing that you are interesting, knowing that you are fun to be with, now when she tries to do those manipulations, you stand your ground and let her know you know you are an interesting man. She is just who she wants to be and has decided to do what she wants to do, and that way you would have beat her at her own game. Another way to beat women at their own game is to not tolerate gaslighting. Yes, my kings.
Listen
Gaslighting
well,
is
man.
another tool women use to manipulate, control, and use men. But if you are a king who knows when you are being gaslighted, who can tell and sight when you're being gaslighted by a woman, you would have beat her at her own game. You would have, just handicapped her because she would try to gaslight you. She would try to manipulate you by gaslighting you, making it look like you are the one who is wrong, trying to create scenarios where it looks like you are always wrong or you are not doing something right. Then at that point, because you already know that is gaslight, you know very well the type of king you are. And for real, you have to make sure you are the type of king you really think and believe you are. This is what I mean. Make sure you are a good king. Make sure you're not doing anything wrong. Make sure that at least to your own best knowledge, you're doing your very best. So that whenever a woman wants to gaslight you, you know who you are, you know your worth, you know that that person she's trying to gaslight you into believing you are is not who you are. And by then, you would have beat her at her own game. Now, the last way to beat women at their own games on my list today is to be ready to let go. Now, my kings, I do not mean that when you're in a relationship, you should always be in a hurry to not even try working on your relationship when something goes wrong. That's not the point. The point here is have that abundance mindset where you know that you can always let her go and still get a good woman. Because yes, that is another manipulative tactics women use. They make you feel like you can never get someone better than them or you can never get someone like them. Now, when you have that mindset that she's the best woman you would ever come across in your life,
that's a big mistake.
Now it is very easy for her to manipulate you. It is very easy for her to use you. It is very easy for her to control you. But when you have the mindset that you can always let her go and still get a woman who would even be better than her, then now she knows she cannot play that manipulative tactics with you, even if she has it in mind to play that, because you've made it known to her that you are always willing to let go. You can always let her go and still continue with your life and be fine. She will try her best to put herself in a space where she is controlled by you and she is ruled by you. She lets you be the head that you're supposed to be. So yes, my kings, that is another way to beat women at their own games, by making sure you're always ready to let go. So that's it for this video, my kings. These are 5 ways to beat women
this was
at their own
very
games.
interesting.
Please do let me know if you found this video interesting and informative as well. Like this video, drop a comment down below,
man.
share this video with your family
try
and
and
friends,
follow her and
see you
subscribe
in the next one.
to her TikTok.
Hollywood loves to put the truth right in your face because they think you won't notice. Please tell me you remember this movie Limitless, where the guy was a loser until he popped a certain substance that allowed him to access 100% of his brain power. A lot of people think it's faction, but its real world counterpart actually exists. They are trying to wipe this doctor off the face of the earth because he revealed it on a live podcast. Listen very carefully before this gets taken down.
Most people, especially young people, probably don't realize that they're walking around right now at about 55%, maybe 60% of their true state of normal. There is a nutrient, an amino acid, a substrate, a compound, an element missing from their body that if they knew what it was, would make the difference between them being an average person and being a superhuman.
What supplement? Don't end your sentence there, Gary.
So it's called L-theanine.
What that doctor is talking about is L-theanine, and studies have shown that it's literally the building block of dopamine and serotonin in your brain. Random podcasters like this guy have already known about this, and they're way ahead of us.
Tell people about some stuff that I have no affiliation with. NeuroGum is one of them. We always keep NeuroGum in the studio. We go through 4 or 5 fucking boxes of that stuff.
NeuroGum really works?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh wow.
It's got theanine in it and caffeine and a couple other things, and what it does is it enhances your memory. It enhances your brain's ability to form sentences, an increase in alpha flow state. It showed increase in verbal memory, increase in, I think it was reaction time, but it does something.
What Joe is talking about is this NeuroGum stuff, and it's the first of its kind to mix caffeine and L-theanine together. I like Joe Rogan, but I trust science even more. When I looked it up, you guys, there are hundreds of these studies that show that blending caffeine and L-theanine can give your brain a huge performance boost. It basically just makes your brain work a whole lot better. Because it's not a weird, like, wired or jittery energy that you get from coffee or energy drinks. It's more like a subtle push or subtle nudge of energy to get you into the zone and keep you there. When I chew like 2 of these, I'm more like clear-minded and focused. No more like scatterbrain when I have to sit down at my laptop and do schoolwork. Only red flag about this is since Joe Rogan said he uses these on his podcast, these things have been flying off the shelves. You guys can get like 54 pieces right now in the TikTok shop for like 20 bucks. They're super cheap. That's why people are buying these up like crazy. If you see the orange card around here somewhere, then that means they are available and you gotta grab these before they sell out again. You don't wanna miss this deal because this deal is never gonna come back around. You will be foolish to pass up on this deal.
These are the real-life Powerpuff Girls, and their story is purely horrifying. In 1958, deep in an isolated lab in Nevada, the U.S. government launched Operation Bluesome, spearheaded by a peculiar scientist named Clyde Pickle. The program aimed to create human weapons using DNA modification. Dr. Pickle's experiments resulted in 3 genetically engineered girls: Emily, with superhuman strength; Rose, who could control machines with a single thought; and June, whose ability to manipulate minds was something even the scientists underestimated. To keep the girls in check, they were forced to wear collars that suppressed their powers. But the experiments grew darker. Painful tests, isolation, and endless drills. They were treated as tools, not children. One day, June secretly used her mind control on Dr. Pickle during an experiment. He unknowingly left the remote that controlled their collars under the table, thinking it was just his idea. Later that night, the girls retrieved it. With their collars deactivated, chaos followed. Emily smashed through walls with her strength. Rose disabled the lab's alarms and locked the doors. And June, calm and calculating, used her powers to freeze guards in fear. The 3 escaped into the desert, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Despite an intense manhunt, they were never found. Decades later, declassified files hinted at sightings of 3 mysterious women near military sites. Their existence erased from history, but the question remains, where are they now?
Here's an interesting statistic for you. If the U.S. faced a catastrophic power grid failure, as in the whole grid went out throughout the entire country, 90% of the U.S. population would be dead. That's from the EMP Commission. Now you might be wondering, how close are we to a scenario where all of the power grid goes out? Well, unfortunately, we're a lot closer than most people think.
Does that mean Emero has a memory? What's going on?
Henry, 77 years old, was immediately arrested when the neighbors discovered what he was really feeding his enormous pig, Big Joe, raised on his quiet countryside farm. Henry had always lived a simple and quiet life. Widowed for years, he lived alone on a remote piece of land where the only sounds were the rustling of trees and the grunts of his loyal companion. Big Joe, a pig so massive it looked like something out of a surreal tale. Big Joe was the pride of the farm. His size was shocking. Bigger than any pig the neighbors had ever seen. "What are you feeding that pig? It's bigger than a bull," some would joke, but Henry, with his subtle, enigmatic smile, always answered the same way. "It's an old farm secret, my little trick," but something didn't sit right. The neighbors started noticing that Henry never bought animal feed or grew anything on his property, so how was it possible for Big Joe to grow so enormous? Curiosity turned into suspicion, and one day a strong, unbearable smell coming from the property pushed someone to call the police. When authorities arrived and searched Henry's barn, what they found inside left everyone stunned. If you want to discover what Henry was feeding Big Joe and why he ended up arrested, Hit the red button and comment Big Joe to see part 2.
Historical facts that schools will never tell you. In the Middle Ages, some women would insert live fish into their bodies and wait for them to die before cooking them to serve their husbands. They believed this would make their husbands love only them forever. Excessive body hair was considered a sign of low social status, so noble women went to great lengths to remove facial hair. The Saint Bandits were an elite unit of 150 pairs of gay soldiers. They were the primary leadership force in their army, undefeated in battle, and even defeated the Spartan army in ancient Egypt. Wearing striped clothing was seen as a sign of a sinner, and only actors, musicians, and fools, those with no stable social standing, were allowed to wear stripes. This is also where prison uniforms originated. Animals, including insects, could be tried for crimes. For example, a rooster that laid eggs, a mouse living in a house, or a pig that attacked children could be judged guilty. The poor animals would be sentenced to death, and human witnesses were often involved in the trial process. In the Middle Ages, the length of a man's shoes reflected his social status. People believed that the longer the shoe's toe, the higher the person's rank.
In China, children who are expected to become truck drivers in the future are given special training from a young age. They practice maneuvering small trucks over narrow poles, a challenging task requiring a lot of precision. Not every child can succeed at this, but those who do pass the training go on to become drivers of large trucks when they grow up. This early training helps them master the difficult skills needed for their future careers as professional drivers.
So Africans, after watching that video, oh, China is so great. Hey, meanwhile in Africa, hey, we are reading the Bible. In Africa, we are wasting time with the religion. In Africa, look, China, children are driving cars. Africans are stupid. On the internet, Africans are stupid. Every day they're on Facebook, praising other countries, praising China, praising Russia, praising America, praising Europe, and they keep looking down on themselves. They think their education system is inferior. They think their belief systems are inferior. They think their leaders, their governments are inferior. These are Africans. And this video, which, by the way, is an original video, but it's a video of a kid in his home. His parents buys him toys. You know, his parents bought those toys. That car, that toy car, that's a kid at home. In America, you find kids with cars, trucks at home like that. In Africa, if you go in Africa, some parents also buy their kids toys, toy cars like that. It's all the audio that is there, that's rubbish, that's stupid, that's lie, that's AI generated audio. There are no schools training future truck drivers in China. No schools in China that are training future truck drivers. So Africans see all these videos. There are many videos that are fake propaganda videos, trying to say that people in China, in kindergarten, they teach them this. In kindergarten in China, they do this. So the children there, they can make phones in kindergarten. They can manufacture things in kindergartens. Rubbish! Chinese schools are the same as your schools. They have primary schools. They have middle schools. They have dull students who fail subjects. They have smart kids who pass subjects. It's the same. But we have this inferiority complex that we always try to say that other people are superior than us. And it's enforced. You know, they make the videos like this to make you believe that, we are really not doing anything.
Yeah.
Look in that video, you see some toy cars there. Look in that video, you see that it's a compound, not even a rich family. That's a typical compound in China. That's not a school for training kids to be truck drivers. There's nothing sophisticated there. Even African kids make toy cars. We grew up making toy cars with our own hands, driving toy cars around. Come on, Africans. If there is something that Africa needs to be doing now, is investing in science. Invest in science. Science education must be a priority from primary schools. Your schools, your kids, Africans should be good at science. We need to start inventing things. We talk about minerals. Congo is rich with so many minerals. Those minerals are nothing. They're useless if you don't know how to use them. If we can't use our own minerals, then the Europeans will always set the price because they are the ones who know how to use them. How do you know how to use your minerals? What can you do with a piece of diamond? You can only sell it. What can you do with your gold? You can only sell it. What can you do with your bauxite? You can only sell it. Nowadays, electric vehicles are everywhere. People need to make batteries. They need to produce lithium batteries. Can we do it? We can't. What can we do with our lithium metals? We can only sell to the Chinese, to the Germans. Africans need to invest in science. We need to start using our own materials, adding value. Instead of selling lithium, we need to be selling lithium batteries. We need to produce batteries made in Africa. Instead of selling raw materials, we need to make things and sell final products. In that way, we are creating jobs for ourselves, and we're making...
Let me pause it for a bit, because he is, talking some sense, making some great, analogies, like it's wise and all. But, it's monopoly, right? The white people are not going to make it easy for you to, just do it. There's a book, or I think there's a book, or there's a video that I saw that, some organizations are there which would, try and collapse your country and bring in aid from outside, like money, so that you would, sell some things. They would, I think, try and get the value of whatever that they want to. And if you don't do it as a president, if they think you are, not abiding to whatever that they want, they kill you and bring somebody who will do it. So, I mean, it's very dicey, and they make just a few people up the food chain become rich. Like, it's not by the doings of the Africans. What we are supposed to really invest in is weapons. But then, even with that, it wouldn't be possible. Right, like nukes and all these things, but it wouldn't be possible. Like, US has blocked all those things for us to do it. So yeah, basically we can attach ourselves to one person and make him strike a better deal, but even that one is not promised. So with this, he's just saying what he knows, but then yeah, it's deeper than what he's just talking about. So yeah, let's continue.
Mineral resources, the natural resources that we have. We are selling logs right now, timber. Trees are being cut down in the Congo basin. They are being exported on ships and then coming to China. And Chinese people use the same wood, the same hardwood from Africa to make furniture, and they sell that furniture very expensive to African leaders, and they put in their offices, in their palaces. That's the stupidity that we have. And we keep believing that it's because they are different from us. No, we are the same. We are the same. I work in China. I teach Chinese kids. I see them. They are the same as African kids. Even some African kids are smarter in class. Wake up, Africans.
The Hawaiians have a ancient tradition that octopus came from the sky. The octopus, apparently its DNA is not like anything else on this planet.
They're really smart, man. They're weirdly smart.
and we don't even know why or how. They have no need, because they're in the ocean and there's no houses in the ocean, so they have no need to like build things, but they're super smart, man. They open up jars. They figure out a way to get out of a fish tank, walk across the floor, climb into the next fish tank, kill a fish, eat it, climb back and go back in their tank. With panspermia, they do think that it's possible that planets, when they get hit by asteroids, a big chunk of it can fly off and the DNA from that rock can enter into this new environment.
It's a very linear path of evolution. And very early on, there's a massive jump where we went from extremely simple bits and pieces to essentially this big jump in complexity for these small systems. And there's a theory out there that jump occurred due to seeding from elsewhere.
Why doesn't anyone buy a waterbed now? In the 1980s, waterbeds are loved by young people. It is made of rubber with extremely strong toughness. Insert another layer of soft fiber cotton. Then fill the mattress with water using a hose. Looks like a plastic inflatable bed. In fact, the original intention of waterbed design is for patients to use, because the soft bed surface can tightly adhere to the body, ensure that the cervical spine and waist are not suspended in mid-air. Its elasticity can also alleviate fatigue, bring comfortable sleep, allow people to completely relax. But nowadays, few people use waterbeds. Everyone thinks that occasionally experiencing a waterbed is still okay. If really buy at home, it's still a bit inconvenient, because just installing the waterbed is time-consuming, and filling and draining water inside. It takes 2 to 3 hours each time, and a mattress filled with water weighs at least 200 to 300 pounds. It also takes a lot of effort to move. And the water in the mattress is also prone to spoilage. The most crucial thing is, the price of waterbeds is relatively expensive. The service life is also very short, can be used for up to 3 to 5 years. If the rubber is accidentally damaged, the mattress will leak water, may lead to people sleeping on it, directly falling into the water.
You're saying the world's bigger than we know, that they changed how we think. Richard Constantine.
He knew that with this model, reinforced by working geometrical logic, he could deceive the minds of millions into believing that this small section of the world was the entirety of a world in and of itself.
Even if that were true, how the hell would they be able to sell such a lie?
Thought you'd never ask. See, Richard was maniacal. His family loved his idea of entrapping the soon-to-be population, but they too asked him the obvious question, how can we be sure they'll obey? At which point, with an emotionless expression, Richard said to them, give me absolute control over what's taught to the minds within these walls, and they will look to the heavens before they consider what's behind the ice.
Good God.
See, Richard was the godfather of psychological manipulation. Spent the following years creating the blueprint for a new reality, our reality. The great curriculum of confinement, or what we know as geography, Newton's laws of physics, etc. A structured narrative of logical principles that would be taught to every generation within the wall. But he knew that wasn't enough. He knew how the subconscious mind worked as well, so he created sigils of circularity, symbols of a sphere, globes, circular maps, even our circular language of time itself, were embedded in every cultural artifact. He knew not all humans were brainiacs. Some were more spiritual, mythically intuitive. So he created, naturally, deterring layers of awareness through monstrous mythological beasts that scoured the oceanic abyss, instilling innate fear into the naive early generations.
Oh, come on. I mean, we don't believe that type of stuff.
Your ancestors sure did. And I don't know about you, but I'm not taking a boat into the middle of the Pacific anytime soon.
Fair enough.
But Richard's greatest deception, the cosmic paradox. He introduced the concept of an endless void, a vacuum of dark space beyond this globe. You see, when he told his family he'd have us looking to the heavens instead of beyond the ice wall, he was being literal. Think about it. When we converse, when we hypothesize of what's beyond our observable reality, the conversation pivots into outer space. You'd never for a second consider there's more to the world beneath your feet.
What are you getting at?
Richard was a genius. His theories worked. He created geometrically accurate models of a hypothetical universe. It's just not ours. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a joke for entertainment purposes only.
Asking AI, if you were the devil, what would you do to get people away from God? Let's play it.
Well, if I were the devil, I'd start by corrupting mainstream religion, turning it into a tool for control, hypocrisy, and division. I'd twist sacred teachings into rules that breed judgment and fear, driving people away from faith and making them question the authenticity of God's message. I'd divide believers against one another, creating conflict within their own communities so they'd focus on fighting each other rather than seeking unity or truth. I'd then create distractions that seem harmless but consume their attention, pulling them away from spiritual growth. I'd promote materialism, convincing them that happiness comes from possessions. I'd encourage a culture of busyness, leaving little time for reflection or connection with the divine. And finally, I'd ensure that doubt and fear overshadow faith and love so they become too disillusioned to ever seek a higher power.
Michael Jackson wasn't crazy. He was right. He knew who really runs the world from the shadows. But when he tried to speak the truth, they made him disappear. And I was there the night it all went down. I was pretty close to Michael, keeping things discreet around him. We all knew he wasn't just a singer. He was involved in things that had nothing to do with music. Lately, he'd been talking more, saying he knew things about powerful people, high-level players. He said they were coming for him. We thought he was just getting paranoid, man. But that night, everything changed. We were at his mansion, and Michael was pacing, repeating how the industry was much darker than anyone thought. They don't want the truth out, he kept saying. They'll do anything to stop me. It wasn't a secret that he had been fighting behind the scenes. Lawsuits, betrayals. But this was different. He had that look in his eyes. Fear, but also defiance. Around midnight, these men showed up. Not paparazzi, not fans. Black suits, black cars. I knew right away they weren't there for autographs. Mike looked me dead in the eyes. Serious. It's them. I told you. I know too much. Seconds later, his personal doctor rushed in, trying to calm him down, saying he needed rest, but Michael wasn't having it. He tried to speak, but before he could get a word out...
Come in, MJ, to watch part 2.
So this is our room door. Echo! How is this place paying for all these lights?
This couple splurged on a 5-star resort for their baby moon, but there was something really strange about the place.
This was kind of creepy, but we had this whole entire resort to ourselves. At first it started as a joke because I started recording on our first day and not seeing anybody but employees. But you can see as the days progress, it starts to freak us out.
Everywhere Cameron and Carly went at the Gran Velas Resort in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, it was just the two of them.
Things started getting a little creepier as we realized the activities were also by ourselves. How are these fire pits being lit all day, all night for us? Who is paying for all this?
Instead of being bothered by the situation, Cameron and Carly, who live in Utah, leaned into it.
This entire kingdom just for us.
This is one way demons start to attack you.
Demons attack us in our thoughts. That's where they start. And so your thoughts are not always your thoughts, and you have to learn to ask God for wisdom to decipher what are your thoughts and what are theirs. Generally, anything negative is coming from the devil. Right. The devil is not going to leave it to our own strength and our own immorality or, insufficiency to fall into sin. He's going to do everything he can to push us in that direction. So any negative thoughts in your mind, just remember that there's a demon behind that. And so there's a demon of anger, there's a demon of lust, there's a demon of unforgiveness, there's a demon of pride,
jealousy.
You just label all of them as demons.
The Bible tells us to guard our hearts and guard our minds.
That's right. Yeah. So, so the first step, your thoughts are not your thoughts.
Read James 4:7, comment your thoughts below, and share this with a friend.
That's right now. I'm going to read that right now. So yeah, we've come to the end of the video. This video gave me, it was real emotional roller coaster. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something from this. It was so nice. It was diverse, from Africa to China to America to theories to conspiracy theories to everything was part of this. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have subscribed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post, you will be the first to get it. Adios amigos, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.